to it. When it came to GU, that was the main one that we was looking at this past week, and I want to go over what we went over on the call, as well as just the opportunities that happened throughout the week, because there was a lot. So where this highlighted box is right here, you can see we went over, this was Sunday, June 8th. You can see it right there at the bottom. Let me move that right there. So during this area, I'm gonna go to the 30-minute. There was this overall trend line right here that was broken and retested right here as one entry to take it down to this zone, and then it came back again to retest this trend line and also this zone right here. So this blue zone is my 4-hour zone. So this is an area where I saw these 2 points stop at. So since those are 2 points that I saw stop at the same area, I started my box from right here and I drew it into the future. Excuse me. As you can see, once price came up to here, we did have RSI, we hit TP2, and then that was also the third retest of this zone. So after that, it fell to this level of support right here, broke through, came back and gave this retest. I also did have another chart. Let me see if I can find it. Was it this one? No. It was this one. So this was the other chart that I have that you can see after it retested that, it also came back. I had you another trend line right here at the top just to show that we're in overall sales because it is coming from the top. So it's telling a story that every time price is staying underneath this, we keep going lower until it's broken and retested. So you can see price came to this area after it retested this part right here, and then it continued down. And this was this overall structure right here from this first break-in retest, point A, point B to that zone, pull back, and it shot down, okay? So this happened between, let's see, this was between Monday through Tuesday. So this took literally 24 hours to pay out 100 pips. That was a great move to get in and out of within the first day of the week. Now, after that, we did pull back, and then we retested this zone right here. This is something to watch out for because I was also looking for a continuation for this to go down to the bottom. But let me tell you why, too, I was hesitant, because while this was playing out over here, when, like, watching it, price was just having a hard time just pushing. It was being very stagnant. And if we were looking for a continuation, the structure that we would be looking for would be from here, 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 continuation, okay? And then if we put our fib on here, let me delete this one in the background. Putting our fib on here, it closed at 50. So we would be expecting it to come to TP1. But looking at this, once it was in this area, it was pretty much, it wasn't going straight to it. Like, it was having some trouble. It was up and down. There was a lot of bullish momentum too. So those were just, it was just weak signals, just saying that it just wasn't strong sellers in the market. So you can see it didn't even go down to TP1. I'm going to erase this real quick. It ended up pushing back up. And then right here, you can see, looking at the RSI, anytime you look at the RSI and it has this red area forming, just know that that's a lot of heat coming in, meaning it's a lot of buyers that are in this area right here. So this is the area where we started forming RSI, just showing us that we were going to be pulling back in the opposite direction. Now you can see RSI and it can still be going in that, let's just say for instance, it could be going down, you still see RSI, meaning a pullback is going to happen. But like I said, the fact that I was watching price in this area and it was just, the momentum just wasn't there. It was just signaling it was weak, which is basically showing me that we wasn't going to continue, okay? So after that, we can see price started to form this new one, and you can see this low that was created. After it created this low, started pushing up, this low was higher than this one. So this is another indicator too, showing that it's not, there's no heavy sellers in the market, that's another continuation to go up for buys. So after this happened, we broke through here. It came back to retest this zone right here. it came for a sell back to this zone right here that was broken and then pushed up. Okay, now if this was right here on the tip of that wick right here, it literally touched that as a retest and then pushed right back up. I have another chart right here. This is my cleaner chart, but I have another markup. Was it on this one or was it on my money one? Yeah, so on this one right here, you can see I had this trend line. This was my retest right here, but it came back again to retest it again, which is no problem. Sometimes that happens. You can get a double retest of a point, but that's why we have to give our stop loss room to breathe for it to have that possible pullback a little bit, especially near zones, because zones are pretty much like magnets before it continues. So as you can see, it retested it and then it pushed up. Now it came back to this area again, and this is the area where we see we had TP2. There was divergence forming. So this is going up, and looking at the RSI, when you put that arrow, you can see the highs were getting lower. So we have RSI, we have TP2, and then we have retest of this zone area staying within this zone level, just letting us know that we could be looking for sells. Okay, so those are 3 confirmations right there to look for sells. And then this was a great opportunity right here. This would be for more advanced trading, because this was something to take advantage of like on the smaller time frame, around the 5-minute time frame, because this is something that I was looking at. There were just a lot of confirmations right here to get in for that major push down, which is exactly what it did on that smaller time frame. But like I said, don't worry about that right now. This is just something like if you missed this sell right here or this buy right here, you would just have to wait for another confirmation. Don't force it, okay? And this is still early in the week. This happened midweek, Wednesday, and then this happened near the end, Thursday. So like I said, there was multiple opportunities. There's this opportunity right here, 1, 2, 3. You could have got that one right there. 4. There was 4 opportunities right there on those clear break and retests. Okay, so right when the week was ending, this was, I think, Friday. Thursday to Friday. So we broke through this trend line right here. After that momentum pushed down, we broke through it, came back to this purple zone. This purple zone is a key area that keeps getting retested as either support or resistance. So this is a level to really look at for price to get to. So even seeing this pushing down, I knew we were for sure going to come to this zone. So once we got to the zone, I'm right here on the 15-minute time frame. You can see this started forming RSI. This started going up, and while this was going down. So we had a retest of the zone, and we have an RSI. These are 2 indicators after we broke through this trend line that we were going to be pushing up back to this trend line to retest for sales. And that literally took us to where we're at right now. So this retest happened on Friday, right before the market closed, I think that morning, because that's when I got in it. I got in this for a retest. And once you put your fib right here on it, I also put this notes too. So these were my confirmations for the sell. So you remember how I say every time you're trading, you always want to look left, because your data to the left is going to help you on what's about to happen again. So TP2 was hit, looking left. There was divergence on the 1 hour. So this is what I just drew out that arrow right there. Retest of this 4-hour zone, and then there was a break and retest of this purple trend line and also of this zone, which was also creating a lower high. So this low right here that I highlighted in this blue box, this high is lower than this previous high right here. So sometimes too, I like to switch the time frames just to see like the momentum too. So you can see every time we came into this blue area, there was some type of wick exhaustion at the top, as you can see right here, and even where we're at right now. You can see all this wick exhaustion. So every time it's in this area, it has that wick exhaustion, letting us know that we're going to be having major sales happening. So you can see every time it came to this blue zone, it had a heavy push down. Blue zone, heavy push down. Blue zone, push down. So let's go to where we're at right now. Even on this 1 hour, you can see those wicks right there in the blue box, just signaling that other push down. So this is our structure that we're looking at right now. Point A, point B to the zone, this retest, continuation. Now with here, this is our fib that we're looking at. And you can see it closed at 61.8. This is the 1 hour time frame. Remember, when you're on those higher time frames, the 1 hour and the 4 hour, and you hit above 50, so if you hit 61, 78, 88, 100, because 100 still counts. If it goes to 120, that means you're in the wrong direction. So since it hit 61 on this 1 hour, for 4 hours and 1 hour, that means it's guaranteed to hit TP2. Okay? But it's going to take a while before it hits TP2. So with that being said, just know you're going to have a lot of pullbacks. So even in this scenario, yes, I am already in this sale, but I know it is possibility that it is going to pull back and then continue. But that's no problem too, because even if your account starts getting lower, that's another that you're still going to be a profit if you got in already beforehand. So even if price pulls back to this trend line, let me make this trend line a different color. Even if it pulls back to this green trend line, I got in right here, so I'm still going to be in profit. This is just going to be another opportunity to enter. Because remember, after that second retest, if it retested third time, fourth times, those are just opportunities to get in. And remember, it hit 61.8, so we're going to be seeing a lot of boom, 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 boom. A lot of pullbacks before we get down, ultimately, down here to TP2. Okay? So I am looking for it to pull back to this trend line, because even if we go into a smaller time frame, this is a smaller structure in between. This is something to take advantage of too, as a short-term buy. It came down 61.8. You remember, smaller time frames aren't guaranteed to go to TP2. But the fact that this TP2 is aligned also with this trend line is another reason why I see it going up to TP2. So this is a right now move that you can make right now. Is getting in right now. But your stop loss will be right here under these lows. Right there. I'll put it around like 88. And then this will be about 20 pips-ish to take advantage of. If this is something that you're looking forward to get into. Or you can just wait and see what price does. What you will have is you'll have your trend line right here, like how I have it, and then you set your alarm. This is on a 5-minute, once per buyer close. Wait for it to close at 5 minutes, and you want it to close with wick exhaustion. So you can see at the bottom of these areas right here, it has those wicks right there. That's how you would want this candle right now that's forming. You would want it to close with wick exhaustion, and then that will be your entry to take it up. Okay? Now, if that doesn't happen, that's fine. You'll still wait for a pullback to get in to take advantage of it. So I will still just wait for it to pull back to this trend line for you to get in to take it down. And you can get out at TP1 first, because this is also a broken zone. I mean, it's going to go there regardless, but if you don't want to hold it longer, it is for sure going to come right here to retest this zone. This yellow zone right here. So you can see this is, when I draw my yellow zone, sometimes it just means it's just a random area where I just see it in the moment and I'm waiting for more data to form. But now that I'm looking at this is a good 30-minute zone. So this could honestly be changed to purple. But you can see right here, there was resistance that broke, came back to retest as support before it jumped up. Right here, we broke, came back to the above one to retest, and it was just breaking through this area right here. So that's another reason why I said I can see it like stopping right here at this trend line, pushing right back up to either this zone or back to this trend line right here, and then continuing down to right here to TP2. Okay. Now let's look at this blue trend line I have right here. Okay, I remember when I drew this. So right now it's holding up this price right here overall. And this is also aligned with, kind of aligned with TP1. And you can see TP2 is past it. So if it does end up going all the way to TP2, which I do see, like that means it's also going to be breaking this trend line, which is going to be showing us that we are going to be shifting from overall buys, like how we were looking from this whole time, looking left, we were in majority of buys up here. So now breaking this blue trend line, if it comes down to this TP2 and we get a retest, then no, that's going to be your next major structure for sales. Okay, now we're looking a lot into the future, but I just wanted to show you the bigger picture. But the right now moves is for sure this smaller one right here. Boom, boom, boom. Take up to that trend line. That is a right now move that I see happening. And then stop loss will be down here at 88. And then after it gets to this trend line, you want to see if it's going to retest it. I always say just keep the other possibility in mind, which means just a break and retest up here and then continuation. I don't overall see that, but you just never know. That could happen. So just be aware of that as well. So that's it for GU. For EU took a minute to play out. But this is something to, I don't want to be big on like the bigger picture because I know I go over that a lot with you guys because the bigger picture can sometimes take a long time to play out. And this was one of those moments where it took a long time to play out because we were looking at that big time frame. So I want to just delete some things right now real quick. Overall, the big structure we was looking at was we had this green trend line right here. I made it in bold. And let me delete some stuff so it don't look like too much. We saw it get broken right here. It broke through this trend line, came back to retest. Now, after it came back to retest, I said, okay, now that we got that retest, we know we're going to be taking it up to TP2, which was up here. But you can see we were at this weekly level. Remember, weekly levels always mean there's going to be some type of consolidation before it continues. So it was literally consolidating in this area for 8 days, which, you know, it takes patience. That's why sometimes it is patience when it comes to trading. But eventually, after it broke out of this area, we did eventually get that overall push up to TP, and boom. So this was, let me draw it back. So we had a fib here. This is one, and we had the TP one right here. And then you could have had one right here when it came to 23. Priced out at 23, which means there's consolidation. And then that was also leveled with the weekly level, just also confirming there's going to be consolidation. Now I know I got all these little fibs right here in the middle, so let me drag this across them. You can see TP1 landed right here after it consolidated, and that's where price stopped right now. So you can see it came to this level. We see all this green at the top. That's just RSI divergence, showing that it's about to fall. It's hit its TP. It made another lower high. So those are indications too that we were going to be looking for a fall. And that's exactly what happened. It fell. It also gave a break and retest right here. I had a trend line on the 5 minute. And it broke through right here. This was so perfect too. So these are my 2 points. 1 point right here, 1 point right there. Draw to the future. It broke right there. Came back. Retested. That was that lower high that was made. And then it pushed down. So this was the first fib that was made and an opportunity to get in for a sale. It hit 61.8 and it came all the way down. Your first take profit would have been TP1, and you can see it pushed to TP2. So now where we're at it's pretty much like the same scenario for GU. And you guys, you do not have to trade all these pairs at once. You can choose which one you want to do and go from there, because the more you trade, the more you're risking as well. So after it pushed down, it came down to this zone right here. I just highlighted the previous high that was down here after it pushed back, because this was a lot of momentum that was made. So after all this momentum is made, like, price has to take a break, it has to slow down and pull back. So it came back to this purple zone right here. Boom. And then it started pushing back up. And then you can see right here in this area, in minor structure, there was a high right here. And then we formed a higher one right there. And then this was the next low that was formed. So this is pretty much the same as GU scenario. We have RSI forming right here. Like that. Boom. It hit, what is that, 38 or 50? I will say 38, so I can be seeing it coming back up here to this purple trend line. I can see it pushing past through it, and then once it closes, closing with wick exhaustion to finish down, to finish off. If we get a retest, because you remember the other side can happen, but I am majority looking for sales, but that can happen as well, break and retest for buys. But if we do get a retest of this purple trend line, then your overall structure will be, delete these, it would be from point A to point B, right here, 61.8. So you'll be looking for it to come all the way back to this zone that was consolidating in this area. It was consolidating in this area, in this zone, at this weekly level, and this was the area that was also broken that needs to be retested. So that's confirmation that it's going to hit there because it was a broken zone. Fib confirmed that it's going to hit TP2. And then also just the break of this trend line as well, just showing that continuation is going to be showing that it's going to be coming all the way to TP2. Okay? From there, we'll evaluate the market, but for right now, this is the overall movement. So looking for sales from this area, that's going to be 150 pips. That is a lot of pips. So you can take that one and hold it. You can take it and hold it and then also add on top of it. And what I mean by add on top of it is you can get in right here, right? Remember, when it hits higher levels, it's going to take a minute. So it can come right here to retest, then it'll come down, then it'll pull back to that trend line, then push down to this zone, then push back up, then come down. But you know, it's going to do a lot of this. But these areas, these pullbacks right here, I'll make it in yellow. All those pullbacks that are going to be happening, that's why it's important to have alerts on your charts. These are all opportunities to enter. So you can be stacking trades at the same time to take it all the way to your take profit. So this is good to do because it's going to be increasing your profit and it's not hurting you because every time you get in, you're already in profit from the previous trade you were in. So let's say if you get in right here on this retest, it comes down, it pulls back, you're still going to be in profit because you entered above it. So you can still get in right here and your account will be fine by you just adding on. You just don't want to put you don't want to risk too much more than you already did previously, okay? So that's it for EU. And then quickly for gold. Gold was so beautiful. Like, I remember last week I was talking about this. I had entered right here, and on the call I was saying that my stop loss was down here. I want to say, was it a different one I was showing? I can't remember. I think it was this one. Let me see. Yes, this was the one. Okay. So before any of this had happened, I had got in for a great sale. I want to say it was somewhere over in this area because it took 40 minutes to play out. And then I got back in for a buy right here because I saw we had retested a broken trend line. We had retested that. We had TP2, and then we had divergence. So those are 3 confirmations to get in for a buy. So I got in right there. And on the call last week, I said I gave my price room to breathe. So I think I put my stop loss like somewhere down here. Like it seemed like it would be insane, but I was just so confident it's not going to get to that point. But I do know, even though it wicked off of this, it still could come back to this trend line like a little bit more further before pushing up, especially for the fact that this was a 4-hour trend line. So the higher trend lines, higher time frame zones, price can stay there for a minute before it pushes away. So if once we play it out, you can see it literally came back and pushed past where I entered, but it still retested the zone before it started pushing up. And that happens a lot too, because a lot of traders, they get in and then their stop loss will be near where they entered. But that's a lot of times that's how you're gonna get stopped out of the market. So I have mines like far away from it, even though I knew I wasn't gonna get into it. And that can be nerve-wracking. So what I do too, I'll put a trend line like somewhere close right here, and then I'll have an alert. I can't play right now because I'm in replay mode, but I'll put my alert to once per minute. So if price is going too far past my entry point, I get alerted, and if I need to, I can automatically pull myself out. So as you can see, price came back to the trend line, and then it started pushing up all the way up. And then you can see right here, it retested the zone, made another low. So boom, this is the whole structure right here. Once you get this pullback right here, that's when you add your fib. Now I know, okay, boom, we're getting out right here at TP1. That was a good 347 pips. And this took, how long does this take to play out? 15 hours, less than 24 hours. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful buy on gold. After that too, I did see it going to TP2. I didn't get in it, but you can see it did eventually go. It pulled back past this low, but it still stayed above this low right here, like that. It still stayed there, came all the way back up to TP2. And overall, like I did see it coming back to this purple zone even before seeing this structure created right here, because I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna get in the buy right here, where is a previous area that was broken? One, it was this yellow zone. That's point A, boom. That was a previous area broken. That's why you can see price came right here, because the people who are in the market are just people like us. So we're all looking at the same thing. So it came back to this one, retested it, pulled back, and then eventually it pulled back to this one. At first, I didn't see this yellow zone. I really was only looking at this purple zone. So this was my overall target, was this area, because there was a lot of times that price was stopping in this area. So when you see price stopping in that area so many times, it's pretty obvious, like after it's broken, that it's going to go back there to get retested. And you can see that's exactly what it did right here. Retested it, started consolidating, it started doing its thing. After this point, I wasn't really looking into it, but you can see it just retested here, pulled back to the zone. Zone to zone. It was zone to zone throughout this time. Then we broke it, retested it, pushed up. Now where we're at, you can see right here, boom, RSI immediately. That's immediately clear. Let me go to the 30-minute on the 1 hour too, because I want to see what's happened on the 1 hour. So see, even looking at this, I'm gonna just use this zone right here. Put it from right here to here, because this was the last zone to get broken and retested. Right there, so boom, it hit TP2, and there's divergence. Those are two confirmations that we're going to be looking for sales. Now, these are the two highs near each other last. That was broken. And this is the 1 hour. So that's going to be the main target on where price is going to go to, for sure. Right there. Now it's like, okay, but where do we enter? Let's see what's happening on the smaller time frame. So we can see right here, it's still creating higher highs. So it looks like it's not ready yet. Even looking at here, pull back to 61.8. So this could be pushing back up. This could still push up to TP1 or TP2. We're not sure. We gotta wait to see. But this one structure is not finished. For sure, it is going to come down to TP1. And then we're going to have to see from there what it's going to do. Is it going to come back down to this trend line, retest it, and go back up? Or is it going to break past here or go up to TP2 and then start breaking past lows and retesting? That's what I want to see. I want to see what happens when it gets to TP1 or TP2. Once it gets to those levels, what I'm going to do is, because gold, sometimes it don't retest a trend line, but it will retest the zone. So what I will do is, let's just say if this scenario happens that I have drawn out, right? What I'm going to do is, hopefully, we'll see if it has some areas where highs stop at the same time. And by that, I mean if it does something like this. Like say it gets to TP1 and then TP2, but they're kind of like in the same area. I'll draw a zone at those highs right there. And then I will wait for price to break through and retest. Let's say if it does something like this. I'll draw something like that. And then wait for price to break through there. Wait for it to come back to retest. And then this will be my entry to take it down to this green zone. Boom, voila, magic. So that's gold, GU, and EU. All right. Make sure to add alerts on your trend lines, okay? Because that helps you from not staring at your chart all day. And yeah, let's get to it. If you have any questions too, feel free, drop some in the comments, send me a message. I'm down to open whatever.